All right, so I'm going to answer the question in this video, what is God's will? Now, I was thinking about how I was going to describe this because there are a lot of different ways I could put together sentences to describe this for you. The description that I'm going to give you was created with over 1 decade of experience with extrasensory perception and clairvoyance. I have sensory access to other dimensions of reality outside of the physical world and the physical dimension. So, God's will is basically just like a mystical decree of the moral good. That is the best description I can give you. And this mystical decree basically has like mystical laws. And mystical laws are very simple. I could probably explain to some to you that would make sense and be very obvious. For example, the concepts of good and evil. Things like kindness, compassion, helping others, protecting others, choosing life. There's a lot of things like this that fall under almost like a mystical decree that exists in other dimensions of reality for producing mystical light sent down from heaven for your life. Real mystical light that exists in other dimensions of reality outside of the physical dimension. Basically, there's like mystical laws that exist, and these are almost like mystical laws. Things like kindness, compassion, helping others, protecting others. The biggest and most obvious one of all is good and evil. You basically just kind of like choose life. You choose the moral good, and through these choices, you get mystical forms of light. Now, this is all really important because in life, you want to align your will as early as possible. As early as possible in life, you want to do this. You want to align your will with God's will. So my will in life, what I want to do with my life, how I want to live my life, what I believe in life, how I believe I should be living my life needs to be aligned with God's will. This is why a lot of people pay a lot of money to send their kids to like Catholic and Christian school, but then the Catholic and Christian schools teach the kids nothing. What I do here online is so much better than they actually just do nothing. It's not even comparable. They teach kids like a little bit about some history of Jesus Christ, and that's pretty much it. So you basically need to have your will aligned with God's will as early as possible in life. And you kind of do this by just embracing loads of really good concepts and then living your life. This might be kind of difficult and take years to get used to, but strictly by those concepts, like I'm strictly good. There's like basically no evil within me. I'm always kind. I'm compassionate. I only help others. I'll protect myself and I'll protect others. I'll only do the right thing, but I'll never do the wrong thing. I embrace things like hard work. In all of these things sort of align your will with God's will in other dimensions of reality outside of the physical world and the physical dimension. Once you have gone on with this for a period of months or years, then you start getting mystical forms of light sent down from heaven for your life. And these are real mystical forms of light that exist in other dimensions of reality outside of the physical world and the physical dimension. So that's why knowing what God's will is important. I'm just going to go over it one more time before concluding the video. God's will is basically just like a mystical decree of the moral good. And that's pretty much the best way that I can describe it, with sensory access to other dimensions of reality. And it has mystical laws. Things that would make sense to your average person walking down the street if I explain this all. They'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Everything that I pretty much just said in this video. So that's what God's will is.